Well, hey, thanks for coming on and joining me.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I I've been following you on Facebook for a while, ever since I believe my wife cut your hair one day, right?
The daughters, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, daughter's hair, and she told me about what you did, and I thought it was like really cool, so I started following you. And you have some really funny posts, really informative posts too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's actually been really fun. Um, and so you own Ink Goddess Tattoo.
Correct.
And so tell me about, so first of all, how did you get into tattoos? And then second, how did you come up with that name?
So when I was 24, I drew a portrait of a friend of mine that passed away in a motorcycle accident. And at his wake, they all asked me if I did ink, which I didn't have any tattoos, and I was working as a dog groomer.
Oh,
So I was like, no, don't have tattoos. And like, you could make a lot of money doing tattoos with this kind of talent as an artist. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty great. So a friend of mine tricked me into going to their tattoo appointment, grabbed my book on the way out that had, because back in 2007 we didn't have smartphones,
yeah.
so grabbed my little art portfolio that was a photo album and took it with us. And I didn't know he had it until we sat down with his artist, and he's like, hey, this is the girl I told you about. And I was like, oh, this is about me. And I just remember his words of, he looked at both of us and he said, if I open this book and see Marvin the Martian drawn on line paper, I'm kicking you both out. And so needless to say, he looked through the book, kind of did a couple,
Oh yeah. Double takes.
and closed it. And he said, where are your tattoos? I'm like, I don't have any. And he goes, okay, I will see you Thursday at 7. You're tattooing yourself. And the rest is history.
So tattooing yourself?
Yes, I didn't have
Holy
any
cow.
tattoos. And he said, in order to be a good artist, you have to understand what you're doing to people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it
So did
sucked.
yeah, so did he give you a tattoo or you gave it to yourself?
I had to tattoo myself.
Holy cow. Is that pretty normal in the tattoo industry to like
There's no such thing as normal because there's no
all right.
regulation. It's he does, she does, by whoever.
Okay. Okay. I get it. So you tattooed yourself. Where did you tattoo yourself?
My inner calf, just because it's
Okay.
accessible and
Yeah, pretty easy to I was gonna say like I'm trying to think about that. If I had to tattoo myself somewhere, I wouldn't even know where to start.
some people will tattoo the top of their thigh if they're not as flexible. It's
Oh,
not.
okay. Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. So how did you come up with the name then, Ink Goddess? And you've been in business since 2007 or later or
Um, I have. I started tattooing June 18th, 2007. So I just consider that my official start date.
Oh, right on. Right on. Okay. So tell us about the name.
I got the name, honestly. I was tattooing a friend of mine back in the days of MySpace.
Oh,
And
sweet.
I was still an apprentice, and I tattooed a footprint of her child on her foot. And when
Oh.
she posted it, she said, I'm hanging out with the ink goddess.
Oh,
And it just
right.
kind of stuck. So,
That's actually a really cool story. Like, so your customer gave you that name.
yeah, my mentor gave me my nickname Haylo. So,
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of tattoo artists go by nicknames, just to make your name more rare and more
Yeah.
recognizable. I mean, there's a million, people with the same name: Amber, Matt,
Mm, yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
So having your name stick out, it's not uncommon to for tattoo artists to all have a nickname. Like Kat Von D, her last name is not Von D. So
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that was actually one of my other things. Do you have like other than the mentors who brought you up, do you have any like uh inspirations for tattoo artists that you like go off of?
I follow a handful of different artists just on their social platforms, different websites that I visit. My website's
Yeah.
hosted through Tattoo Now.
Oh,
So it has some of the highest names in the industry. They do webinars, they do videos, especially during the pandemic shutdown. They did a lot of different webinars and
mm,
educational based on artwork, tattooing, um, pretty much anything in the industry, they do a lot of focusing on education and furthering education on.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I feel like a mentor in any world is important, but especially tattoos. Do you feel like you get a lot of your like guidance and like designs from them?
I get inspired of where to further my own talents. I personally feel my only competition is the same person looking at you right now. So it's just where I can get better by, I'm only comparing to my last piece is what I'm doing
Hey.
better than yesterday.
Oh,
So the way that I look at people as mentors is what did they do to elevate themselves? Who were they following? What techniques were they using? What pigments were they mixing? You know, how did they pick their sizing? How did they pick their design? What did they do to make the successful things in their life repetitious? And consistency is key.
yeah, that's a very good point. You know, I think I've seen that even on your Facebook, and I've made comments about that. Like the difference between like good, better, and best is really just who's consistent, right? You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
A
Yeah,
white
man.
belt's just a black belt that, or excuse me, a black belt's just a white belt that never gave up.
That never gave up. Hey, that's on my that's on I used to train at a jiu-jitsu gym. I'm at a different gym right now, but yeah, that was at one of our gyms. That was sweet.
Yes.
Do you train martial arts?
No.
Oh, you
I
should.
just like metaphors. So
Hey, but it's true though. You know, that's the funny thing about what people don't understand about that. And I feel like you get this concept too, especially with the metaphors. Like in any kind of martial arts, it takes time. Like a black belt in jujitsu, if you see that on if you see someone with a black belt, especially in jujitsu, it's at least 10 years, at least. And most of the time it's longer than that. So most
yeah,
of the time you see somebody with a black belt, it's closer to like 12, 13 years, depending
yeah,
on like how they train and who they train with. But um,
absolutely. The number of kicks from a martial artist, the number of throws from a quarterback, the number of, you know, times a bat has been swung by a baseball player. It's the same concept of as many times as I've touched a pencil to paper and a needle to skin.
yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, gosh, that's so awesome. So how did you know tattooing like was your thing though? Because you told us kind of how you got into it, but like tell us a story about like when you knew like this is it, this is what I want to do right now and maybe forever.
Well, my answer is pretty simple. I love to draw and I love to make money.
There you go.
Boom.
I don't think you can go wrong with making money by doing something you love. So
Well, for people who say that, you know, money can't buy you happiness, well, I tell them broke can't buy you anything.
yeah,
So,
that's right. That's right. Poverty doesn't do anything any better than super rich does, right?
or hey, you want to help the poverty rate? Don't be in poverty.
Yeah. Hey, that's what I'm saying. I agree with that though. I love all the people. You know, I love talking to all sorts of people. But yes, when I hear that, I'm like, most of the time somebody who says that really hasn't had that opportunity yet, because people who've made a lot of money and even so I've had experiences with my businesses, I've had experiences with talking to people like you who make money, and the people who say those kinds of things like, you know, money can't buy you happiness or things like that, never had the journey of making money. Because, you know, like they use that phrase to like catch some, it's like a gotcha phrase, you know, to like call out somebody's like I'm a bad person because I made money or something like that.
I
But
call that there's two different mindsets, a broke mindset and a successful mindset. And guess
yeah.
what? People who say misery loves company, success loves it even more.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the people who say that and that gotcha phrase, they're like they've never had the journey, like, because you just, if you love what you do and you know how to monetize it, there's nothing wrong with what, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong
Well,
with
no
what you're
one above
doing.
you is pulling you down.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so I've always been on that bandwagon of like, dude, if someone says that, they probably never had that journey and they're probably poor. Yeah.
Well, I would rather have
Like,
people who I can congratulate them on their wins. They congratulate me on mine. And
yeah.
that's what we use to congregate and collaborate together.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about problems because I believe broke mindsets focus on problems
Yeah.
and I believe successful mindsets focus on solutions.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Who are your mentors in like the mindset game? Who did you go to learn
I
about that kind of stuff?
So I have a business coach. His name is Sean Whalen. He's local
Okay.
to Utah. He's in Draper.
Oh,
I've been a part of his business coaching group. Can't really
wow.
say it's just business because it's
Yeah.
based on life balance as a whole. And I've been in his group called the Lion's Den for 1.5 years now.
Cool. Yeah. Do you feel like that kind of business mentorship, that business coaching has helped you in your game?
I do, because I feel a good coach. I've learned from my coach. A good leader is also a good follower, someone who can turn around and look at his followers and ask questions like they're asking him. I also feel that having that ability to ask questions and have a place to be absolutely vulnerable is a key to essential growth in both personal, financial, and career build, because he's worked with multimillionaires that they don't know how to keep a relationship, or, you know, there's always one major struggle. He's somebody who helps them fill in those gaps based on a method called Core 4, based on the 4 major components: power, passion, purpose, production. Power is your body. I mean, the better you feel, the better you look, the better you are. You know, if there's an apocalypse tomorrow, can you pull yourself up and over something? That's a big thing, is where's your physical fitness? What do you fear based on where you are? Well, if you're physically fit, you fear nothing. Yeah. So that's where power comes in. Passion are your relationships, your work relationships, your family, your spouse, your children. Where are you building those on a daily basis that if you died tomorrow, do you have a regret because you allowed something to put that gap between you and a person in your life, or are you closing that gap and growing from it for yourself? So that's passion. Purpose is your mind, you know, reading, fundamentals, meditating, things like that. Where are you putting, you know, undivided attention to your brain, building your thoughts? Where are those thoughts taking you? Are they positive? Are they negative? Do you have anger? Do you have remorse? Work on those, deal with them. And a lot of times when you're just vulnerable and have a place to take that, that's where you learn where you can grow. The last one is production, obviously your career. So that's where you can learn anything from. I joined the Den January 1st, 2019. I asked a million questions. I asked about the laws of independent contractors to employees. How do I get a business license? How do I get a business name? All of those things I didn't know how to do. So I just started asking just this plethora of verbal questions left and right. And I had so many people reach out to me, answer me, help me, that by the time I understood the laws, I realized the place I was in was not working legally, based on tax reference, based on business basis. They were doing our schedules, they were doing our money, they were doing our paychecks, they're doing our place of craftsmanship, but paying us as 1099s. So red flagging that, of basically contesting that, I was fired. And so doing that, which I was fine with, best thing that ever happened to me was to stand up for myself from that legal means and say, I know this isn't right. And to be canned for it. Well, kind of showed itself there. And by the time I was able to, the government was in a 6-week shutdown. During that time, I was still able to build my clientele, get my business license, get everything working and done. So between January 1st to April 1st, I went from working in a confined, controlled space to being my own boss in 3 months.
Oh, that's sweet. Good for you too. Standing up for yourself. Heck yeah, man. I'm all for that too. Is like, if you know something's going on, just say it. And I love the confidence that those kinds of decisions bring to your life too. Cause it was probably a really, I mean, did it feel like a confidence booster? I mean, hindsight's 2020 now, but like when you were doing that, did it feel like a confidence booster, or how were you feeling during that whole?
I felt like my head and my heart were in a really bad power struggle, and I realized my gut's not lying to me. And when you go with your gut, you're never wrong. You never regret it. And when my gut says this isn't right, I just went with it. And, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, if life hands you a board, you can use it as a crutch to walk through that water, or you can put that board down and you can ride that wave like a surfboard. So I decided I'm done walking through water with a stick, and I made it a surfboard. And it was kind of a thrill ride, because it was like, well, I can make the wrong decision, but if I fail fast, I can get back on. You can fall off your surfboard, but you can get back on. You know, I mean, there are people out there who lose limbs to shark attacks, and they're still out there surfing. But again, the metaphors really speak well to me, so I use a lot of them.
Yeah, well, no, I think having like those daily mantras and those, you know, those metaphors or whatever you want to say, like they just keep you going. Like I have a few too, that when I'm like down, or because it happens to all of us, that I'll repeat in my head that you know, you can change it, you can move, and you can go, and a lot of cool experiences like similar to yours. And I feel like that's like way sweet. Like,
Well, and it's the same repetition we discussed of
yeah.
in performance. If you're making it repetitious to add value, to see value, contribute value, and to give yourself value, it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then habits breed that consistency, and now you're rolling. Now you know, you can
Absolutely.
put
And
yourself
for
on autopilot
people
and keep
who won't
going.
be able to stand you, you're going to attract 10 more tribesmen from being who you are. Because they're going to judge
Yeah.
you anyway. So might as well be
Yeah.
you, be honest, tell the truth. And if they
Yeah.
like you, great. If not, bye.
Yeah, yeah, it is what it is. And the thing with me that helps with that is like you can't control what other people do, right? Like you
No,
could do you know, you could do everything right, you could do everything that you thought was good, and it still comes out maybe not in your favor, or it does and somebody doesn't like you, and it is what it is, right? Like you can't control that. It was great.
absolutely. Everyone has their path to 9. One's 8 1, one's 6 and 3. Guess what? Both go in the same place.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. And you know what? The back to what you were talking about, you know, between like the life, you know, coaching and like business coaching, like there's really, when you learn how to run a business successfully, especially like your own business, you
Yes.
learn how to like get better in life. Like they have to go together. I just don't see how it goes any other way, right?
Absolutely. And I like being able to ask questions because I like having somebody who has been there, done that, and can call me out on it. Because where I'm the business owner now, I'm not there because I'm always right. I'm there because I always want to grow from it. It's either
Right.
working or it's not right or wrong. It's working or it's not.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. So I mean, like with, you know, in any business, it's just about like getting back up and going, right? You're gonna make mistakes, and the people who I see only fail, like, or really fail, right, are the people who like hit a wall and then quit, right? Which doesn't
Hence
do
the term
anybody
fail
any good.
faster.
Yeah, man, it's just unreal how many people think that like this is why. Okay, so I never wrote a business plan. You know, I have two businesses that I really enjoy working in, and I never had a business plan because my favorite, one of my mantras, is commit first, figure it out later. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that, right? Because they're like, oh, if you know, like if someone came up to me and they were like, I'll pay you $100,000 to do this, and I had no clue what it was, I'm gonna figure it out because I got
Money motivate.
yeah, I got
You're
and I got an opportunity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People
It's
will just see
amazing
that.
what will motivate you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and people just see this as like, and maybe it's not money, right? Maybe it's because I've had, you know, I've been up for promotions at jobs before where the boss was like, "Hey, I need you to figure this out," and I knew that, and I knew that a relationship with my boss would further my, you know, career. And he came up and offered me a problem that I had no clue what to do with it, but I was like, "Eh, give it to me. I'll get it done." Right. And it's just like, you know, some people might have a problem with that, but I'm a commit first, figure it out as I go kind of guy, right? Like, sew my parachute on the way down kind of thing, right? Because, like, I don't know, if I make it, I win. If I don't, I really am not any further than I was. And so I might as well try, you know?
Absolutely. I full on believe in the ability of creation and we're all born with it.
Yeah.
Every child shows they can create. Look at Legos, look at
Oh,
the things
yeah.
they draw. Every child can create. We all
Mm,
have it. It's the same thing. Are we
mm,
repetitiously contributing to that creation to
mm,
build it? So a lot of us have a very strong ability to create, like me as an artist, where other
mm.
people lack that. Well, that's where people like me make a lot of money to create people who don't know how
Yeah.
or have forgotten.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, I feel like when you can bring value to somebody else's life, you know, whether it's through tattoos or anything else, like you, it's just that sense of accomplishment that you get. Just, I mean, it's just momentum going, right? And
Absolutely. Add
uh,
value.
yeah, I love it, man. Absolutely love it. Well, let me ask you this, like, because I love talking with like people in these unique business industries. It's my favorite. You know, I got my degree in accounting, and I'm a sales guy. Very like, you know, especially nowadays, it's like very everybody's a sales guy, and accountants are boring. So, but the reason I like talking to like unique business owners is I get to like pick their brain. Like, have you ever had a crazy experience or one of the craziest experiences of like giving a tattoo? Have you ever had somebody come and, hey, I need this somewhere, or like a crazy picture or story? Like, what's your craziest?
Just because I approach my clients on such a concentrated, organized basis.
Yeah.
Nothing's done. I don't do walk-ins. Nothing's done last minute
Oh
or last
yeah.
thought.
Okay.
So that's where I learned what's called your avatar in the lion's den.
Mm.
So what it is based on what you value yourself is the avatar that you attract.
Mm.
So where I put a lot of time, effort, research, and talent into my, my artwork, you're paying me for those years of experience, those,
Mm.
weekends and
Yeah.
evenings that I sacrificed, funerals, weddings, barbecues, all of those outings, birthday parties, I
Mm.
sacrificed all of those. So when you're paying me my hourly rate, you're buying my most precious commodity, which is my time.
Mm.
And where I've spent so much time applying myself in repetition to build myself as an artist, you're
Mm.
purchasing that time from me
Oh
that A,
yeah.
I can get back, and B, that I've spent in repetition of failing, repetition of success, what works for me, what does not, applying it over and over and over and over again. And we're tattooing, it's not like a machine. You don't just put in a coat and get the same one. The same
Right.
design will not turn out identical. And
Right.
so everyone is completely unique. So where I, when I was, at a real cheap, by the piece, struggling for business, working every weekend, working every evening, my avatar was
Mm.
somebody who's impulsive, somebody who is cheap, and somebody who wanted it right now.
Mm. Yeah.
So once I turned around and said, no, I value myself. This is the value of my time. I no longer want to work weekends. I no longer want to work holidays. I'm not going to work evenings. I'm working
Mm.
only. People are like, oh my gosh, how are you going to do that? That's when tattoo artists make their money. Well,
Yeah.
that's great, but I can change that story. That's their
Yeah.
story. I can
Right.
change mine. So I
Mm-hmm.
did. And I quadrupled my hourly rate. I quit charging by the piece because, let's be honest, if you were charged by the piece, you lose interest as it becomes problematic or
Right.
elongated.
Right.
No, people who want the piece, oh, but can we add this? And can we do this? Can we change this? And we do a different size. They always want something more for
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
So I charge hourly because if you want my time, you pay for it. You want an extension of that time, it's there.
Yeah.
And you know the value of that.
Right.
So once I valued myself, I upheld myself as a business person, as a time management, things like that. My avatar was no longer the person who was my barista at Starbucks. My avatar was the executive who owned that business company.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all based on who's your avatar and put yourself in front of them.
Oh yeah. I totally believe that. Like you have to, and I like that you put avatar because it kind of it adds that a better picture in someone's brain. But I always grew up, it's like a premium, right? Like I have to believe I'm worth a premium, and then I deliver a premium, right? And I've noticed too in business that if you're in whatever business you're in, that if you charge too less, you actually lose customers because you're
Yeah.
charging too less. You know what I mean? Like the first thing I see when I see a really nice car and it's cheap, the first thing I go is like, what's wrong with it, right? And usually you're right. Usually, it's been in a wreck or whatever, right? And same thing with business. You know what I mean? Like if the guy gives really cheap tattoos, it's probably going to be a cheap tattoo. You
But
kind of
you're
get
going
what
to
you pay for.
attract cheap clients.
Yeah,
I love the car
yeah,
metaphor because I always tell
yeah,
people no one goes to Ferrari to get a used can. No
yeah,
one goes
right.
to Ferrari to get a deal. People go to
Yeah,
Ferrari for
yeah,
a Ferrari, the
yeah.
machine that they know they're going for,
Oh yeah.
not to try to hassle or lowball.
Oh
They
yeah.
know what they came there for. If
Yeah.
you want, but here's the thing: Ferrari
Mm-hmm.
sells a sedan.
Oh yeah.
You,
Oh yeah.
but guess what? You're buying a Ferrari.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
want a
and
sedan? There's
yeah,
Joe's car lot.
yeah, you can go wherever you want. Well, what's funny about that is I worked with a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and yeah, we had that all the time. You had there's two kinds of like these foreign car buyers, right? The people who can really afford it, and then there's the people who can't. And the people who can't afford it, because their first questions are like, well, how much is it, and things like that. Not that price isn't important, but it's that concept. Like, yeah, you don't like. Have you ever been to a Ferrari dealership, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't let you test drive. You don't go and test drive.
No.
Hey, can I drive this car? I'm not sure if I want it. You're in the wrong.
Let's see
You're in
your
the wrong
bank
place.
statements. Let's see your
Yeah,
credit
yeah.
score. Let's see what you drove here in.
Yeah, exactly. You don't go in there and test drive a Ferrari. You don't go in and test drive. I want to
And you
go
can't
test
touch them
drive a
either.
Lambo. No, and they don't play any games either. They're like, we can sign up right now, and we'll give you the car, or you have a nice day. And I love those guys too, by the way, because they don't care. Like those sales guys are
They
like,
know their avatar.
yeah, well, and they know what they're, they know their avatar and they know what they got. You know what I mean? Like one of the biggest things with sales or anything like this is like, you got to believe it, right? Like not only, you know your avatar, but I believe like what I'm selling. Like I know what I have and like their position, right? The number one rule the number one rule in negotiation is position. Like, and if you're a Ferrari salesman, I know what I got.
And you never start the negotiation.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
a successful, smart person never starts a negotiation.
Oh, heck yeah.
Some people message you and you're selling something on like KSL and they're like, what's your lowest price? I posted it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not going to downbid myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. I love it. And you know what? I actually saw you post that one time on Facebook and I was like, yes. That's because so many people don't get that. You know what I mean? So many people are like, and back to just like, business people and consumers, like people will respect you more if you respect what you have more. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? They'll get it. A lot of people are like, oh, if I don't give a discount or if I don't do this, like people won't buy my thing. And I'm like, no, if you give a too big of a discount or if you start playing games, you actually lose integrity faster. You know what I mean?
So the way I see discounts is people are coming to the pier every day.
Yeah.
Well, if you bring in a sailboat that is your sail, hence why I call it a sailboat. Every time you sail, you're going to attract people who like sailboats.
Yeah.
So now the only time those people come to the pier is when there's a sail.
Yeah.
I don't have sales. I don't. The value of my time never decreases. The value of the product I sell doesn't go down in value based on who you are or what you want.
Right.
So it's, yes, absolutely. You hit it on the head so perfectly. The avatar that's shopping by price always asks for price first.
Yeah.
My professional reaction is, what are you shopping for? Price or quality?
Yeah.
Because you can't have both.
Yeah.
They'll always try to say both. And I tell them, I will be the most expensive artist you talk to.
Yeah.
But obviously you've seen my work for you to come talk to me.
Right.
So if you want quality, we can move forward. And when they say, yes, I want quality. But here's the thing. The moment they're like, what's your hourly rate? And I ask them, what are you wanting?
Yeah.
And they'll tell me. And they're like, are you not going to tell me how much you charge per hour? And I said, here's the thing. If I did, the first question you're going to ask is how many hours? Well, I require all new clients to schedule a consultation to assess, to educate, to evaluate, and to have all of the questions answered.
Yeah.
Because this is a permanent thing that goes on your body. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And it's large and it's big and it's detailed. I want to make sure we're both on the same page in all aspects.
Yeah.
Before we can even go into a quote, because then it's a blind quote. That's like saying, hey, how much to build me a house?
Yeah. I don't know what you want
on
in
the
your house,
beach,
man.
in the mountains? Are you wanting a one-room
Yeah.
shack? Or are you wanting a 15-bedroom mansion? Like,
yeah.
There's so many things. So I literally, I went, just because we talk cars.
Yeah.
I was at a car dealership getting my car serviced. And I'm sitting with the guy who sold me the car because he's one of my clients. And I believe in absolutely putting money and value back in the pockets of people who've done it for me.
Yeah.
And we're chatting. And his coworker comes up to me and he's like, hey, this is my tattoo artist. And the guy goes, hey, how much for a sleeve? And I looked at him dead in the eye and said, how much for a black car? And the dealer goes, what do you mean how much for a black car? I don't know what you...
Yeah.
And my salesman just said, you get this all the time. I can't believe you just did that.
Right. I sold cars forever. So,
so you get it.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I worked at that Mercedes-Benz dealer. I was a salesman there. and they
Huh?
right on the strip, strip, right in downtown, like next to the Ferrari and Land Rover stores and stuff like that. We got to
Yes.
see all the nice cars. And yeah, man, I mean, that's just what it is, you know. And I like what, you know, managing expectations, and because when you manage people's expectations, you can give them the experience that they want, right?
Me personally, I don't believe in the word expectations, only because expectation, I believe, is only accompanied by mind reading, which none of us can do. And to have an
I like
expectation,
it.
nobody can satisfy you because it's your expectation and it's of no interpretation of anybody but your
Yeah,
own.
very arbitrary.
So,
yeah,
so when you go in with an expectation, you're going to be disappointed.
Mm.
So when people use the word expectation, to me, it's like, that's mind reading. I don't do that. And
I don't do mind reading.
anytime someone says, what can I expect? And I tell them, what do you want?
Yeah. Oh no, I think, yeah, you hit it on the head. I think so. I think that's how you have the best day, is to not know what the best day is, right? And just live like in the moment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Expectations
I'm
or
with you.
disappointments. Go in and set a plan, execute, follow through, do the work.
Yeah. Well, I love your passion. Where did you get your passion from? Have you always had it? Was there a moment? Was it, I mean, how'd you get it? I feel like you got it.
My passion, I honestly will attribute to the people I care about.
Mm.
I definitely have an amazing marriage. My husband is my best friend. We've been together for almost 5 years. I became a mother on Christmas Day, 2011. My daughter was my motivation to want to do more for myself in my business. And I definitely feel that my husband being a part of my family is manifested 100% into my artwork. Huge evolution from when he first came into my life to now. And I truly believe that my daughter brought me a sense of, I have somebody else to live for. And bringing my husband in was that completion of, now what I'm living for is protected. It, you know, I feel like that I've completed my puzzle. So in that sense, I really draw off those passions of, I have someone relying on me. I have someone who is doing everything I do, everything I say, watching it. I can't be a parent that says, yes, go out and live your dreams and be happy, when I'm miserable as hell, stuck in a place that I don't want to be. That's not an example. Kids don't give a crap what we say. I'm trying to watch my language. They don't care what we say. They care what we do. So I have no business saying, yes, eat a healthy diet as I pull into McDonald's. Like, we can't do that.
No,
and so,
you cannot.
You know, I want to show my daughter the value of having a partnership in her life. By whom I married, I show her the value of having a very well-behaved animal by training it, because I do it. I want to lead by what I do. But I'm very open to, when my daughter does something and displays something, she's my mirror. So if she's learned it, I've taught her. So I've asked her, when have I done that? Oh, you've done it this way. Oh, that's what that looks like. Let's both work on that. You know, and me and my husband are very open and honest with each other. I don't feel there's anything we can't talk about. But it's by having them and being able to learn that there's not fear in our home. There's not lies in our home. There's not, let's people please. We're very honest. We're very open-minded. I'm the smart ass. I call myself the day of my marriage. My husband is definitely more of the serious type, a little bit of a role reversal, you know, but it works for us. And I believe everything that I'm doing that draws my passion is based on what I've done, because I quit talking about it and I just did it.
Like that.
So that's a lot of where my passion goes, is when I apply myself, this is the person I want to marry and I find them. This is the kind of dog I want to have and I find it and I train it. This is the kind of career I want. Well, shit, I've taught myself to draw. I found someone I care about. I have a trained dog. It's not rocket science. It's just do the work.
Yeah. I think that's, man, very inspiring to hear that, because it's true. And you know what I learned something, that your passion came from like doing it. And that's so true. Something that, like, have you ever had those experiences where like you hear something like that and it feels so obvious, but you never like clicked in your brain? You know what I mean? I had one of those moments. I was like, holy crap, passion is like built. You know what I mean? Like, as you do stuff, you get passionate about it. You figure out like, hey, I can do this. And hey, all those books I were reading weren't lying to me. You know what I mean? It was actually just me. Like,
the biggest thing my coach ever told
mm,
me that resonated with me right off the bat
mm-hmm.
when I joined his group was he said, everything in your life as an adult is your fault. Everyone you're around is by your choice. Everything going on in your life is because of you. And I was like,
yeah, life doesn't happen to you. It happens because of you.
exactly. And when I realized I am full of excuses, I am full of lies. We are all insane liars. We all do it.
The
one thing that every professional, doctor, therapist, psychologist, all have in common, the more you tell the truth, the more you feel better. Same as when you go to a doctor and say, hey, my head hurts, and you have a busted ass leg. Well, and then the doctor says, well, let's give you something for that headache. And then they walk away. That doctor's a quack. No, it's because you didn't tell the truth. If you want something and you're honest about it, you're going to get what you want. But if you don't even know what you want, that's okay too. Because it's just saying, I don't know. If that's the truth, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And you'll figure it out.
I like it. I like it. Hey, have you ever read that book? It's by the Arbinger Institute. It's called Leadership and Self-Deception.
I have not.
You got to check that one out. Because
I'm writing that down.
All right, you got to write it down, because it talks about that though. That the self-deception that happens, like, to you when you knew you were supposed to go do something and you didn't do it, like that. And then you had a bad day, right? Like, I wake up and I go, I know I'm supposed to brush my teeth, right? I got to brush my teeth. And then I get up and I don't brush my teeth, and I knew I was supposed to brush my teeth. Like, my day probably won't go the right way, because in my head, you know what I mean? And then what happens after you start lying to yourself or lying to people? Well, then you start justifying things. Right.
Well, we make assumptions, and assumptions are lies because we don't communicate. Assumptions are literally our way to disassociate ourselves from communication.
Yeah.
We make up a reality that we want, not because it's true. We believe it, and then we spread it. And the author Don Miguel Ruiz calls that poison of work. And so, when you're saying how people think on things and they have good thoughts and they have all these things, but they do nothing, my coach calls that straight up mental masturbation.
Right. It is, though. You're not doing anything. You can't, live in la la land and then not go do anything. Because that's what people do. You know what I mean? Because it changes, though. And this is what people, and this is kind of why I love, like, the whole entrepreneurial culture that's kind of blown up in the last, few years. I love it, but I also hate it because they started, there's a lot of people out there who don't realize, like, how hard it is. And then you have people who start saying, oh, you got to work really hard. And it's true. And that's the only thing that matters. It's like,
hey, the loudest booths come from the cheapest seats, bro.
Yeah. And it's like, how bad do you want it? Like, I want to start a business. Well, the only question I'm going to ask you is, how bad do you want it? Because if you want it enough, you'll figure out how to get it done. And it'll take you some time, and you're going to mess up if it's your first business, and you're going to have to learn a lot. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to pay too much money for something, or, you're going to lose some money here, but that's business. And how bad do you want it? How bad do you know what I mean?
And what do you want? How are you going to get there? What's your plan? And if you don't have a map, who are you going to hire to help build that map?
Get a good team. Yeah, I like that. And, I actually changed the question a while ago to a couple of my friends who, because my businesses aren't successful in the sense that, like, we're making a lot of money because we're in the beginning stages, but that's what I love. I love grinding. So I'm going to make it work eventually. And so but I changed my question to, like, because I heard it, and gosh, I can't even remember who I heard it from, but it was like, what are you willing to sacrifice for what you want? Right. It's not necessarily how bad do you want it. It's, what are you going to sacrifice to get it? How bad do you want it, in the sense that, like, what are you willing to give up? Because, like you said, I mean, and then it gives you that kind of sense of pride, because I was in your same shoes, miss weekends, miss holidays, like in the car world and in sales. Really, we got 2 days off the whole year, was Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right. And when you set up your map of where you want to be in a year, you divide that by 12, there's a monthly. You divide that by 4, there's weekly. You divide it by 7, that's daily. And you're not following that daily, what you want now to what you want most is going to be put in front of you.
Oh, for
So
sure.
when you're able to compress what the annual goal is
Yeah.
down to that daily demeanor, you now have in front of you, here's my goal.
Mm.
Is what I want now or what I want the most going to be put important? Even my coach said that. I
Yeah.
mean, he's jacked, he's in great shape. And the other
Yeah.
day he said, you know what? There's brownie batters sitting in front of me. And I realized what I want most are my 6-pack abs. So I walked away from it. And I'm like,
Yeah, sacrifice, you know, because
absolutely.
even though brownies are my favorite, first of all, they're my favorite. But yeah, but
That's why it's a great example.
yeah, but if you want it, you got to give something up. Something's got to, you know what I mean? You can't, just like we were talking about with money,
Because
right?
if it was already working, you wouldn't need to give anything up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If our diets worked, we wouldn't be fat. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If
Shoot.
making a business game was so easy, everyone would be rich.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's just people got to realize that, and I'm glad we had this conversation because people just need to know that, like if you want it bad enough, if you are dedicated, if you got that passion, like you can get it done, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, like you can change it whenever you want, right?
Absolutely. Here's the
Yeah.
thing: you can either be addicted to your story, or you can change it. You have
Yeah.
all these reasons of why, and
Yeah.
can't,
Well,
or you can say, no, I'm going to change that story.
right. Well, you know what? I was talking to I trained sales guys for a long time too, but um, I always told people like my life changed, and so you have to hear me out on this one because it's kind of like people kind of get crazy when I say this, but I go, my life changed when I realized no one cared. And what I mean by that is like, I can't, if I had a bad month, like I can't go to the bank and say that I had a bad month, so I can't pay my mortgage. You know what I mean? I can't feed my kid. I can't go to the grocery store and buy groceries for my kids on excuses. Like, what I mean by I figured out no one cares was that was a huge wake up call for me because I had to be that serious with myself to just be like, hey, look, I'm having a bad day or this isn't working or whatever. Like nobody cares. I got to go get it done. You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
and my life totally changed. I've,
Right.
tried to give that to people, but it's tough.
Yes.
It's a tough one, and it's kind of mean. So maybe I need to come up with like a better phrase, but I don't know. It works for me right now.
Hey, blunt is passes mean for me on any scale. The other day, our
Yeah.
coach told us, he said, so many people are focused on half empty or half full. And he said,
Uh,
that is the mindset of someone who's indecisive and can't make decisions. He
mm.
goes, whatever it is, either fill it up or dump it out and start over again. Quit dwelling on what level it's at, fill it
Yeah.
or dump it and start over. So I really love how that metaphor applies because I
Yeah.
love it. He's always said, pick a side of the fence
Yeah.
because going to one side of the fence doesn't hurt as much as a stake up your ass when you're sitting on the fence too long. And it's true. It's
I can
true.
dig it. Yep, I can dig
So
it.
it's like I would rather make the wrong decision than not make a decision at all.
Mm.
So it's either you fill it up or you pour
Yeah.
it out. So
That's so
that's where
important.
I heard this amazing speaker named Jocelyn Hayward,
Mm.
and she was at our last Lions Den Live event, which all these multimillionaires came and talked.
Yeah.
There was even a guy who was in prison in 2008, and now he's a multimillionaire in the real estate game. Well, he's still
Mm.
listening to his crybaby ass ex-friends talk about the 2008 killed him in the real
Yeah.
estate game and is why they have no fortune. And he's like, dude, I was in prison during this
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
if that's your excuse, well then shit. So okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're
But
good. Go ahead.
Jocelyn literally said her and her husband have their own business. They started from scratch.
Mm.
And she said there's no longer, right or wrong. The moment she said it's either working or it's not.
Mm.
And that is a huge thing that she teaches all of
Mm.
her employees. If there's a mistake made, all they define it as, then that's not working. So if it's not working, stop, do what works. And it's a
I like
huge
that.
business model that
Yeah.
really, really resonated for me of I don't need to be right because me being right doesn't need to make anybody else wrong.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
if it's working for me, right and wrong no longer matters. If it's working for you, right or wrong no longer matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I had a business mentor who said a similar thing. He's like, I don't need to be right. I just need to be. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I just need to make it work, right? And I'm kind of butchering that quote, but he's like, I don't care about being right. I care about getting it done. You know what I mean? Like, so if I'm
Well,
right,
life,
or
you can be right or you can be happy.
yeah. Well, and when you're in a team, you know, because I'm married with my spouse too, and you know, we've been together about 5 years, and it's like it doesn't matter who's right and who's not right. If it, just like you said, if it's not working, we got to figure something out, and it doesn't matter if it, you know what I mean. And so the same thing, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The things you learn in business are the things you know in life. You know what I mean? The successful marriage is the same principles of a successful business. Maybe we tweak it a little bit for certain situations, you know what I'm saying? And our relationship with our children or people around us, like those are the same principles, right? And I feel like business is kind of starting to realize that now, with like empathy and communication and just, yeah. And you know what, the other thing, you know, just like, I don't care, like we got to figure this out, you know what I'm saying? But
Absolutely focusing on
yeah,
solutions.
not problems, because that's, and focusing on problems just takes too much time anyway, like because we don't.
I don't have that kind of energy to burn, bro.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Oh geez, well, i I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time, to like just walk us through your amazing business, your amazing mindset. I think that's great. I feel like somebody's going to listen to this. I'm going to make my daughter listen to this, because I love I love making sure, you know, my wife is a really strong, independent woman. And I love making sure my daughter is surrounded by strong, independent women, people in general, but, you know, especially for little girls. I love my daughter, and I want to
Doing
make
good
sure that she has
choices.
it all.
Your tribe reflects you. You
Yeah.
reflect your tribe. 100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Here's the last thing. Someone's listening to this, maybe needs that extra push. Like, what do you know, what's your last piece of advice that you would give somebody who just needs that extra push?
Well, when it comes to the business side of things, hire somebody or reach out to people who have done it. Mirroring is huge. Find someone who's
Yeah.
done it and do what they're doing. The second thing is, a lot of my mindset change came from a lot of books that I've read. The top 3 that I absolutely love. My coach wrote a book called How to Make Shit Happen. It's available on Amazon.
There
It's
you
like
go.
$4 or $5, super easy. I heard the one on Audible is even more entertaining because he sidetracks and goes off and does it read word for word. So, you know, I haven't listened to it. So, you know, practice what I preach of, know what I don't know. I don't know what it sounds like. I've only heard him say it.
Right.
But that's one of my favorite books. The other one, my life Bible, is called The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements
Yes.
are be impeccable with your word, never make assumptions, always do your best, and oh my gosh, the 4th one escaping me. Okay, so be impeccable with your word, never make assumptions, always do your best, don't take things personally. There we go.
Hey, all right.
Even for a 5th agreement called Always Be a Skeptic. That's a whole new ballpark of amazement. And then I also read a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, by Debbie Ford. The 4 Agreements is by Don Miguel Ruiz. But Debbie Ford describes a really important attribute that when people are really struggling with their self-image of, oh, I'm impulsive, or, you know, these things. And the way she describes it as non-impulsive is our light. So impulsive is our darkness, but we can't have both, yin and yang. Right. So she described, by having that impulse, someone who's very lazy or monotoned, well, someone who's impulsive and sees a kid stand up in front of a car, they're going to be more reactive to go pull that kid out and use that impulsiveness as a huge benefit to serve them. So that book really taught me that if it is a human behavior, we are capable of it. Same as when someone says, oh, but I'm not capable of murder. Yeah, you are. Somebody put a gun up to your child's head. I think murder is going to be a pretty easy decision of someone who hurt you.
Yeah, people can be pushed. Yeah,
absolutely. It really shows how we really see in ourselves through other people. If we recognize our own traits, our own bullshit in other people, because that's what we point out. And that's why when somebody points out something positive, happy, and amazing and successful is because they see it in themselves and they value it in themselves.
Yeah.
So when people are in conversation and talking about people, I don't learn anything about the people they're talking about, but I learn everything about them based on what they see in themselves.
Yeah.
So Debbie Ford's book, The Dark Side of Light Chasers, really taught that. Sean Whalen's book, How to Make Shit Happen, huge personal kick to the ass. But this man, let me tell you, he makes him like an a-hole, but he knows when to kick a boot up your butt, or to tell you, hey, I'm here. Let's do this together. So those 3 books all together and the 4 agreements have been a huge game changer in my mindset. And when the mindset can be changed and altered, and you open it up to be able to learn versus that impulse to fight, no, I must be right. Giving that up is the gateway to do anything you want to do. And you've nailed it. If that's what you want.
If that's what you want.
Yes. What do you want? Straight up. Life's easiest and most complicated question. It's only complicated if you make it that way.
That's right. Thank you. Absolutely. Well, I think you hit it. I think you hit it on the head. I think that that advice was amazing. And if you're out there listening, like, find a mentor, find a coach, read these books, and get going.
Absolutely. If you don't know where you're going, hire someone who has that map.
Yeah. So how do people, if people want to book your services, how would they do that?
So mainstream easy is just inkgoddesstattoos.com.
Okay.
I do have Instagram, which is just Haylo Tattoo Artist. My name is spelled Haylo. There's another tattoo artist that is a guy named Haylo, Halo. So I just totally name dropped him on there as well. So actually I found that out because someone reached out to me and they're like, hey, I loved your work on Ink Master. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, weren't you the name Haylo on Ink Master? I'm like, well, that was a guy. So
oh, snap.
Thanks, but
you're
wow.
Right.
Great.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And then I'm also on Facebook, Ink Goddess Tattoos.
All right. There you go. Well, I hope that you had fun. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to make sure I put the plug in for all your businesses, and we'll get this done. Thank you so much, Haylo.
It was good talking to you.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
See ya. Bye.